good, y'all? It's your boy D-Lou, back at it again with another banger video. Happy to have you guys here. We back with another banger video. Before we get started though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can always stay up to date with what the channel's going on, what I got going on, and whenever I drop a banger, so that way y'all won't miss out. And make sure that you share this video with a friend so that we can grow the channel together and that we all may grow together and be the best versions of ourselves. So in this video, what we're gonna do today, I'm gonna do a Q&A. I posted on my IG maybe a few weeks back that, hey, I wanted to do a Q&A so that you guys can ask your questions, so you guys can get to know me for who I am, and that I can get to know you guys and what you guys want to know about me, what you guys want to see on the channel, and how I can be a better YouTuber and be a better content creator for you guys and for myself so that we can grow. So I'm also taking some feedback from you guys that said about the lighting and stuff, so that's why I don't have my sign up right now. I'm still trying to figure out the mechanics for the lighting, so bear with me on that, and sound quality and, you know, all the other stuff as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So as I always say, if you see me looking down, that's just me looking at my notes, so that way I can keep on track and take a look at the questions and all that good stuff. So let's get with question 1. Why haven't you gone bald? This is a funny one. Don't plan on going bald anytime soon or ever. I honestly like the way that my hair is now. You know, I got it braided, it looks good. Get the bald fade or get the shadow fade for the sides, you know, get cleaned up. Or if I don't do that, I get twists and just rock them out until I can. But I did a big chop back in June because when I figured out I was moving to Houston, I wanted a fresh start so that, you know, whatever job I was applying for, you know, I can have the fresh look so that I can look presentable for the corporate world. Because as you know, sometimes we can't wear like hair how we want to wear it sometimes, whether we're in corporate spaces. So I made the decision to chop my hair and like rock it out naturally at first. But then when I got the job, that's when I started going back into braids to where I felt like it was more my style and that how I look. And I feel like that's what makes me look at least a little bit better in my eyes. I feel like braids definitely fit me. And for all you guys who are just trying to find out yourselves and explore your options with your hair, fellas, what I recommend you do is, you know, just experiment around, see what hair fits like your head and head shape and your type, and go along with that. And just don't be afraid to experiment, for real, guys. Don't be afraid to experiment, try out new things, see what's more of your mesh or what's more your match, so that way you can experiment and then see what fits you and what you feel most confident is, because you need to feel confident in what you're wearing and embrace it, you know? I feel confident now with my braids or with twists, so I just feel confident with rocking those styles until I feel like it's time for a different change. As far as me going bald, not happening, not anytime soon. So yeah, we ain't gonna go with that. So that's the answer for that one. What's the scariest thing about moving? Wanted to switch to my glasses for a little bit. Scariest thing about moving. So I would say the scariest thing I would say about moving is, in a way, starting new and starting fresh, because you don't know when you're moving, especially to like a place that you don't know. Luckily for me, I'm moving to Houston because I've been coming down here ever since I was 3. So it's very familiar territory and a very familiar, you know, city and state for me. So it's not too, you know, it's not too uncomfortable. But I would say the scariest thing is just finding new connections and, you know, having a way to like network and being like, okay, am I going to make friends out here? Am I going to thrive? You know, will people accept me into the spaces that I go to? Or, you know, like, how will I be accepted and will I be able to thrive out here, or was it a mistake to move out here? So I think that was the biggest thing, like the scariest thing for me with moving, because it was just the uncertainty of, you know, the unknown. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen when you move. You don't know if you're gonna be looking for apartments for a long time. You don't know if you're gonna be like accepted into your grad school program like right off rip. And that was the thing with me, but I took a chance and I tried. You never know unless you try, and then you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So I would say the scariest thing for me was just, you know, the feeling of moving into a new place, and then also just wondering if I'm going to succeed or not. Because for me, failure isn't an option, because I want to make sure that wherever I go, I succeed, I thrive, I be successful, so that I'm a success so I can give back to others who have poured into me, and that we can all be better and grow together and make sure that their sacrifices aren't in vain and that I'm not letting down myself. Where do you want to live next? In all honesty, I would say low key, I think Houston is where I want to be for the rest of my life, at least for right now. Knowing that I'm 23, I just settled to Houston. I feel like it's a good place for me to be established because I'm familiar with the scenery. I got into my grad school. This is where I honestly see myself settling down, buying a home, marrying, having a wife, kids, being established and all that. I lived in Cali for 22, 23 years of my life, and it's been nothing but good for me, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's time for a different change in scenery. Cali was just a really high to live in, like a really high state to live in. Everything costs, it's extremely high, gas prices were high, everything is, the economy is messed up as is, and I didn't want to, be wasting my money to where if I know that I can move down south to Houston, I will be able to afford things and just, afford a better style of living down here. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing, and that's why you see the increase of people leaving big cities like, Los Angeles or just states like California and moving to places like Houston. And that's why people are just Californians are invading Houston and Houston is becoming more populated. Even though with people moving in, that just opens the room to possibilities of new friendships, new workplaces, new work markets, new job opportunities, and just new opportunities just in general. It's endless possibilities out here for a place that's fastly growing, and I want to be down here so I can be established and that I can be a part of the growth as well, and that this is low-key my dream state, my dream home. I've always dreamt of living in Houston for the longest. For any of you guys who know me personally, I've always dreamt of just leaving California and just establishing, my life out here. Establishing my life out here, just going fishing on weekends, playing tennis, just establishing new hobbies and just meeting new people and just being able to live the Southern life. Because for California, it's definitely more fast-paced, and I get why some people like that because you're always on the grind, you're always on the hustle. But Houston, in a way, it's like that too, but Houston, it's definitely more slow-paced and more family-oriented, and that, everyone's family out here. The Black community out here is really cool and dope. They treat you with that Southern hospitality that we're known for, and, it's just that I feel like this is more my pace and more my style. So that's honestly why I see myself living here, at least for the meantime. I don't plan on moving anytime soon, so yeah. Favorite anime? The bias is Dragon Ball. I like Dragon Ball Z. It was everything that I wanted it to be in the anime. I got introduced to it back in first grade. Kindergarten or first grade back in Nicktoons when they premiered Dragon Ball Z Kai on Nicktoons, and that's how I got introduced to it. I just fell in love with the story, it really appealed to me. And it's not just it's just a bunch of people just throwing hands and just, fighting. Dragon Ball has no story. It most definitely does. So for anyone who's just Dragon Ball is just a bunch of dudes fighting, there's no story or no context or no character arc for Goku or whatever, it's just a bunch of people fighting, I would say give it a rewatch and try again, but actually pay attention to it. There is a lot of fighting because obviously it's a martial arts anime. It's a martial arts anime with a lot of screaming, powering up and all that. But that's what Dragon Ball is known for and what put it on the map and led to a gateway for most animes. So if we're talking about biased opinions, number one is Dragon Ball, but I'm not going to do that. I would say number one is Hunter x Hunter. I really like the character. I really like the stories in that one. Hisoka, Chrollo, Silva Zoldyck, Killua, Gon, you name it. I really like their character arcs and just what they stand for as characters and just the Nin power system. So Hisoka, Hunter x Hunter, I would say is number one. Number two, I would say Naruto. Naruto is a really good story. It has a really good story, really good characters. The manga, I would say, is definitely better than the anime, so I'm definitely a big fan of manga in my spare time when what I like to do. But don't get me wrong, I love the anime as well. The anime is iconic for its intro songs and all that, and just animating it and the video games that led to it. The video game adaptations like Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, Generations, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, Classic Ninja Revolution, or whatever that game was called. So yeah, I would say Naruto is number 2. Number 3, I would say it ties between One Piece and My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia because I felt like I got introduced to that in high school. Granted, I haven't kept up with the manga and I need to catch up with it. And I know that the manga is probably finished and the anime is still going on like the War Arc or something like that. But I'm trying to catch up with it, so give your boy some time and maybe we can do a video about that and my thoughts on My Hero Academia. But One Piece, I'm just starting as well. I see why a lot of people like One Piece, but it's just extremely long for me. And sometimes I feel like I can get burnt out. So yeah, I would say that's my 3 favorite animes. If we're talking about bias, it's Dragon Balls. So, but unbiased, those 3 are my top 3. What made you start your YouTube channel? That's a really good question. So I felt like I wanted to start my YouTube channel because I felt like YouTube, in a way, like it could be a safe space for me to just talk to you guys and just, you know, help influence and help people who like I can't talk to every day, but I can talk to like online and social media platform and be able to post to you guys and just talk to you about topics that I want to talk about. And obviously topics that you guys want to talk about too, because I'm really big on helping people and being able to support you guys in whatever capacity that I can, as you guys being my subscribers, because if you're my subscribers and you're made it to this part of the video now, we're like family at this point. Like I consider you one of my family, like brothers, sisters, cousins, you name it. So I just feel like I wanted to start my channel, one, to just, you know, talk about things that I want to talk about, what I notice going on in the world, some topics that I know that's going on within the community, seeing that I'm a recent college graduate. You know, I've been through some experiences like in college and all that, and just in my life, and being able to relate to some of you guys out there who might be able to relate to me, so that way we can get some discussions going on and have a dialogue. So yeah, I feel like that's what made me want to start my YouTube channel. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I would say in the next 5 years, definitely by the time I'm 28, I would have my own place, whether it be an apartment or at the grasp of buying my own house. So I would see myself at the grasp of buying my own house, definitely have my master's program, my master's degree by then. I would say looking into marriage and wanting to marry and settle down by either like my 28, like my late 20s or early 30s. I want to look to settle down right around there and be as well established in my career, whether it be like, you know, a managerial position for a hospital in public health and being in charge of HR, or helping out with the educational system and hiring more teachers of color. So I think I see myself doing that in the next 5 years, just being established, still living in Houston, but you never know where life will take you. So I'm just leaning on God's will, and whatever his will be for my life, let Jesus take the wheel, you know? So I would say that's my answer for that. What is the most underrated? No, I'm not answering that. What's your favorite line from a movie or TV show? That's a good one. What is my favorite line from a movie or TV show? I would say Rafiki said, "Oh yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it." So I like that line because, like, you know, it talks about Rafiki talking to Simba about his past, and he's just like, hey, I know you went through some troubles, but you can confront it by either running from your past and not confronting it, or you can confront it and learn from it so you don't make the same mistakes in your future. So I think that line was really impactful for me in just how I'm finding now as a young adult, navigating these spaces and navigating, like, you know, adulting, getting out of college, going into my master's program, just confronting demons from the past and how I can be a better person from it so that it doesn't hinder any opportunities or future opportunities, friendships or relationships that may come across my way. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite line. What's the biggest lesson you learned in the past year? Forgiveness. Forgiveness is essential, but once you forgive, you don't forget, and then you set up boundaries so you won't set yourself up to be hurt again. Because I took this as, like, you know, I took this as, you know, me being a Christian. I was reading the Bible one day, and Jesus was just like, if someone strikes you on your left cheek, offer up your right as well. And, you know, sometimes people will just be like, oh, Christians, you know, you guys, like, if you're a Christian, like Jesus is basically telling you be a doormat, but that's not the case. Jesus is just saying like, like sure, if your enemy hits you, like offer up that cheek, but the same thing is just like for the second cheek, you don't set yourself up to be hurt again. If someone were to hurt you in any way, shape, or form, you just be like, okay, I forgive you for striking me or hurting me in this way, but the next time I'm going to set up boundaries for myself, and that way I won't get hurt. It's like I forgave you, but from moving forward, I'm setting up boundaries for myself, because over the past year or so, I definitely had people coming in and out of my life. There was this one person who I definitely, really saw value in, and that I, wanted to grow more with, but she felt she had other plans and went on her own way. And it really did hurt me for a time. And I was just like, okay, I forgive you. And now I'm in a place where it's like, I can forgive you, but, I setting up myself to where it's just like, hey, I forgive you, but I don't want to be hurt again. So this is why I'm doing things like this. It's no hard feelings really, but it's just me, making sure that I don't get hurt again. So I would say that's the biggest lesson I learned this year, to forgive and don't forget, and to set up boundaries so you don't get hurt again. How do you hope to inspire or influence your audience? I hope to inspire and influence my audience just by being a relatable figure that, hopefully a relatable figure that you guys can talk to, and that you guys can, submit topics to, so that I can discuss them with you guys and we can get a dialogue going. I just want to be like, hey, D. Lou is someone that I can relate to. He's very down to earth. He's very, he's very like serious, but not serious at the same time. He knows how to get stuff done. He's very funny. He likes the things that I like, and, he's very just realistic and just, a cool person overall. I just want to influence be a positive figure in that way, so that way I can be a positive role model to young Black men out there, and just men all together, so that there's a positive Black male figure out here who's in the same spaces as you guys, just a 23-year-old Black man just trying to be something out here in life, So I think that's the impact I want to have and influence my audience, just to be a positive Black male figure, so that people can look up to and that people can, just relate to. So yeah, if you can go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? I would say, if I could talk to my younger self and give one piece of advice, I would say it would be, it would definitely be like invest early. Invest early, because investing is definitely taking over the market. Like for young people, you guys got to start investing like now. Like as soon as you're able to like get your own like checking or savings account, I would suggest investing in whatever stocks like that are going to do good, so that way you can set yourself up for generational success and wealth. And also to protect yourself from what's going on out here in the world, and lean on Jesus. If anything, I would just say lean on Jesus is my number one piece of advice, because in my college walk, I definitely have, wandered off the path of righteousness, and definitely, had my fair share of like heartaches and pain. But leaning on Jesus is the ultimate way, and the only way for us to like, know our true purpose and know what God wants for us, because realistically for us, we don't know what we want. We're very fickle creatures. So knowing that God is so infinite in knowledge and wisdom, he knows what's best for us. And even though it may not be what we want, it's still what's best for us, and he knows what's best. So just trust and lean on Jesus and trust in God. So yeah, I would say that. What's your opinion on Pop the Balloon? What's your opinion on Pop the Balloon? Oh, I've been wanting to answer this one. I have a whole lot of thoughts on this. What's your opinion on Pop the Balloon? Essentially what I think about Pop the Balloon is that it's a good concept, like, a dating show to where they gather like, single men and women from throughout the United States of America to come on to this show and to hopefully find their match and, go out on a date. But as we like go into later seasons and just the earlier seasons too, you have some people who come on here with like, just to promote like their business, or just to get clout, or just for all the wrong intentions and not wanting to find love or be genuine. And then I think it was in one of the recent catch-up videos to where Arlette met with someone and they were just like, oh, did you guys go on a date after you matched? And Arlette, and they were just like, oh no, we didn't. I just went back to the hotel. And she gave a look, and that kind of just was just like, well, dude, like after you match, you're supposed to go on a date. So why aren't you going on a date? And that's what I'm starting to notice. And it's just like very infuriating, because it's just like the show is supposed to be for you guys to go on a date and see if you guys are compatible. But it's just like people are just getting the memo, and you know, communication can be lost, and there's a bunch of other plethora of different things as well. Like, you know, people putting up facades on the show that, you know, sometimes they may not notice, or just having like ill intent and not being genuine, and just a lot of stuff like that. I think it was a good idea, and it definitely took off because you see all these spin-offs of Pop the Balloon going on, to where you have an older version of Pop the Balloon, and just many people just hosting their own version of Pop the Balloon to try to help people find love. But I think it definitely is a good attempt, and I do like appreciate the effort, because dating in this generation is not the best, but you know, it's a good attempt, and I appreciate for what Arlette is trying to do for just people in general. So yeah, that's what I think of Pop the Balloon, but we can do a whole separate video on Pop the Balloon if you guys want me to discuss that. So yeah. It's about a time that changed you. Doesn't have to be school related. I would say a time that changed me is 12th grade year. Around November I think I found out that my grandpa on my mom's side, he was diagnosed with cancer, but I didn't really know about it because my mom was trying to protect us. So the night before, I think a night or two before he passed, my dad just told me, he was like, hey, your grandpa has cancer. I didn't know how to take it because, you know, no one was telling me anything. And he was just like, we need you to, like, we all need to pray for your grandpa and like hope that God can perform a miracle. And I prayed and prayed and prayed for the next 2 days like crazy. And then I woke up in the morning the 2 days after, and my dad was just like, I'm sorry, but your grandpa didn't make it. And that's when my whole world crashed, really. I really was in a bad headspace because he meant the world to me for real. But, you know, just to have that taken from you, I didn't know how to process it. I still went to school, but I just wasn't the same ever since. And I entertained some dark thoughts, to be honest with you guys, that I didn't even want to be here, because I was just like, one of my sources of just pride and joy, he's gone. And like, I just feel so just lost and confused. And I really doubted I doubted God, and I was like, God, why? Especially because, you know, a year afterwards or so, my pastor at my church down in LA, he had stage 3 colon cancer, I believe, and God delivered him and healed him. So I was just thinking like, God, if you're able to heal my pastor, and praise God, and thank God that you did, why couldn't you heal my pawpaw, you know, my grandpa? So I just felt like I dealt with like doubt and just questioning. But that's a part of the Christian experience. You're supposed to doubt and like be skeptic, because you can't be like a blindless, like you can't be like a, you know, you can't be just blindly following anything. Like, you're supposed to ask questions, and that's what God wants us to do, to lean on him and ask questions. So it definitely impacted me to where, like, you know, it made me like just really value the people that like are here, and to just make sure that like you cherish them, because it wasn't easy. And it definitely made me a better person in the long run, because it made me to learn how to value people, value relationships, and just not to give up on life, and don't give up on God. Because it's like that song said, God is able to do just what he said he can do. He's going to fulfill every promise to you. Don't give up on God, because he won't give up on you. So I think that's what I learned about that, and that was a time that changed me, and it really impacted me to this day, to where now I'm at his church that my grandpa used to pastor over, and I have my own photography and videography ministry, to where I take pictures of the service and try to help spread the gospel in that way. So yeah, that's, I think, will answer that question. And I'm going to wrap up this video soon, because it is becoming long. We got like 26 minutes now. But if you guys want a part 2 to this video, please let me know and leave it down in the comments below. But like I always said, It's your boy D-Lou. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you share this video with a friend so that we all may grow together and that be the people that God wants us to be. And I'll see you on the flip side. All right, bye.